A very good day to all of you from MSNBC World Headquarters here in New York. Welcome, everyone, to Alex Witt Reports on this very busy day. Breaking news from Capitol Hill. Just moments ago, a bipartisan group of senators announcing a framework deal on combating gun violence. Now, with some breaking details, we have NBC's Ali Rafa joining us from Capitol Hill. NBC's Yamiche Alcindor is in Wilmington, Delaware, covering the president. Ali, we're going to go to you first. What do you know about this? As I look at my details, I see 9 different proposals, though I will say I do not see anywhere 2 words being assault weapons.
That's right, Alex. There are several things that aren't included in this proposal that was announced just a few minutes ago. A press release was sent out by Senator Chris Murphy's office. He's that senator that has been leading this effort for almost 10 years now, since that Sandy Hook shooting. And he says that a bipartisan group of senators, 10 Republicans and 10 Democrats, have come to a resolution, an agreement in principle on this proposal. I'll read a couple of the details of what's included in this proposal to you now. One thing that's included are incentives for states to implement those red flag laws that would allow weapons to be taken away from people deemed to be a danger to themselves or others. Enhanced background checks for people between the ages of 18 and 21. One source tells our team that a new system will be set up for this age group that doesn't exist for any other age group in the U.S. And it would require gun sellers to check with local law enforcement before being allowed to sell a firearm to that age group, as well as more funding for school security and mental health. A provision is also included that addresses the boyfriend loophole on domestic violence. There's also a clarification of who gets to apply for a federal firearm license as a dealer. There's also penalties for straw purchases, which is when a firearm is able to be purchased legally for someone who is illegally able to purchase one. This proposal is more ambitious, really, than expected. There are several of these provisions in this proposal that we didn't know were being so seriously looked at, and that were seriously being looked at on the table. I want to read you a quote from Senator Murphy in this press release that he sent out. He says that these senators have come to a, quote, common sense bipartisan proposal to protect America's children, keep our schools safe, and reduce the threat of violence across our country. Families are scared, and it is our duty to come together and get something done that will help restore their sense of safety and security in their communities. Our plan saves lives while also protecting the constitutional rights of law-abiding Americans. We look forward to earning broad bipartisan support and passing our common sense proposal into law. But the big question now, Alex, is whether how soon this could be drafted into a proposal and when this could be taken up to the floor for a vote. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer actually addressed this earlier this morning. Take a listen.
Ali, apparently we are still waiting to get that soundbite cut for you to use. But again, 9 proposals, you've gone through them, and this is all on the fly because this is literally just coming down right now. When it comes to the amount of time that Congress has left in session to put this into written legislation, propose it, take a vote beyond just this committee, how much time is left before a big summer break?
Well, we have that huge August recess coming up. So, before the senators left for this weekend, they said that they hope to get a vote done by the 4th of July. We heard Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on Thursday say that he's been waiting for this group of senators to come to some sort of an agreement, because he said that whenever they do have one, he is ready to put this on the Senate floor for a vote as soon as that does happen, Alex.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Ali, we're going to keep following this. We're going to go right now from Capitol Hill, everybody, to Yamiche Alcindor, who's following the president in Wilmington, Delaware. So, Yamiche, let's talk about the president, his reaction to this new proposal, and how this connects the dots to what he has always hoped would happen.
Well, Alex, the president from Wilmington, Delaware, has released a statement saying that he is in favor of this. I want to read to you part of that statement because it really does tell you that this White House, while they didn't get everything that they wanted, they certainly are liking what they're seeing. I want to read part of that now from President Biden. It says, quote, I want to thank Senator Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy, and members of his bipartisan group, especially Senators Cornyn, Sinema, and Tillis, for their tireless work to produce this proposal. Obviously, it does not do everything that I think it is needed, but it reflects important steps in the right direction and it would be the most significant gun safety legislation to pass Congress in decades. It also says, with bipartisan quickly move through the Senate and the House, each day that passes, more children are killed in this country. The sooner it comes to my desk, the sooner I can sign it, and the sooner we can use these measures to save lives. So there you have the president saying, act quickly. This is a framework that absolutely can become law if it gets to the president's desk. I should tell you, of course, while this framework is doing a lot of things that Democrats have been talking about, that Republicans, frankly, have been talking about, it is not a ban on assault weapons. Now, President Biden has said that he wanted to see that, but he also said very clearly, if you cannot get to a ban on assault weapons, please do something. And this is that something. So the president had been urging lawmakers to turn pain into action. And we saw this week with all of the emotional testimony on the Hill, including, of course, that 11-year-old survivor from Uvalde, Texas, that I think almost everyone in this station can't get out of their minds because she talked about smearing blood on her body in order to survive. It's that kind of emotion that really has pushed lawmakers to feel a sense of urgency. And this is something that we did not see. And after so many other mass shootings, including the worst one in U.S. history, the worst school shooting in U.S. history, Sandy Hook Elementary, we did not see this kind of movement after that. So this is, of course, very significant, Alex, on this Sunday morning from Wilmington.
Yeah, no, it 100% absolutely is. But to your point, again, assault weapons, Yamiche, not being part of this deal. You've done a lot of reporting on this. I was watching you just get this all together in what we were reading here with NBC News. Was there one of these 9 points in particular that stood out to you that came as a surprise, a positive one, I'm presuming? I mean, was there something you were like, okay, they went there, I didn't expect it?
Well, enhanced background checks is really interesting because while they did not raise the limit on the number of, raise the age limit rather, to get an assault ban, the fact that they could come together, Republicans and Democrats, and say, we have to change how people are accessing these guns. We have to change how young people between the ages of 18 and 21 are able to get guns. That tells me that there was this real sense that something needed to change, especially when it comes to younger Americans and what they're doing on guns. I think that's really interesting to me. I think that it's also interesting that there are red flag laws. We knew that we had been hearing for weeks that red flag laws might be something, but to actually see it in print. And I'll tell you, Alex, the biggest surprise to me is that this is even coming together, that there actually is a public acknowledgement from Democrats and Republicans in the Senate that they can come together to change the way that we access guns in this country.
Okay. Yamiche, thank you for that. Ali Rafa as well. I'd like you both to stand by, if you could, please, because I'm going to be joined right now by Pennsylvania Congresswoman Madeleine Dean, Democratic member of the House Judiciary and Financial Services Committees. We're going to talk to you about a few things on this very busy Sunday. But relative to this, your thoughts on this Senate deal, in principle at least. Do you think this is a case of Democrats abandoning the so-called perfect for the good, and is imperfect in this form good enough for you?
Well, good morning, and it is a good morning. I am cautiously delighted over this breakthrough. I don't look at the perfect, I look at action. America for decades has called upon Congress, both the Senate and the House, as well as the White House, to do something about the daily slaughter on our streets. And finally, after decades, the Senate is acting. You saw that we in the House acted very swiftly, had an emergency meeting of the Judiciary Committee, moved our legislation to the floor, passed it out of the House, multiple pieces of gun safety reform, including red flag laws. Finally, what we have been crying out for is the Senate to come together in a bipartisan way to save lives. I'm delighted with this breakthrough. Cautiously optimistic that we will pass it quickly. Remember how quickly we passed aid for Ukraine. When we understand the crisis, we can act quickly. So I'm very delighted.
And look, I'm going to join you in being pleased that all this has happened. But I will say, after all the years of covering Congress from this particular anchor desk, I have to ask about whether you worry this will give Republicans now license to say, see, we've done something about gun violence, and then never revisit the issue, particularly revisiting the limits on the actual weapons, assault weapons like the AR-15.
I don't think, I assume some will rest on this legislation, please God that it passes. But that won't stop the American people for calling for stronger and stronger gun measures that save lives, not interfere with the Second Amendment right to possess a weapon. but that will save lives. Buffalo and Uvalde taught us such despicable things about our gun culture in this world, in this country, not this world. This is a uniquely American scourge. So the children's lives that were lost, the shoppers in the grocery store, and that's just two extraordinarily horrific episodes. Their lives lost must not be in vain. The children who for the rest of their lives will be traumatized by seeing their friends blown to pieces. Their terrible experience must not be in vain. So I don't worry that it's this and we're done. We will continue to act because that is our responsibility. It is our duty to protect the lives of our children. So again, I'm just cautiously delighted. And you know, I want to tell you something, Alex. These past few weeks, I've been talking to anybody and everybody about measures to move forward. Stop just thoughts and prayers. Actions are what matter. And to a person, whether it was a victim sitting in our 9-hour hearing in judiciary or an advocate who's been working on this for 25 years, to other lawmakers, every one of us said this time feels different. And I see that it will be different.
So this proposal, as I look at it, 9 important points. However, with those, are you confident implementing these 9 would have prevented Buffalo or Uvalde? Because there is no provision on limiting age on gun purchases from 18, pumping it up to 21.
Certainly you saw in the House, we passed moving the age to 21 in direct response to Buffalo, Uvalde, and other mass shootings by people under 21 years of age with an assault-style weapon. But what is in here is enhanced background for that kind of purchaser. It's incremental. It's not enough, but it would reveal in their juvenile records any kind of background. So it looks like from the case in Uvalde, there would have been some ability to have seen into his background. Same with Buffalo. So again, these are steps in the right direction, enhanced background checks. But let's remember the absurd carve-out that is that in this country, an 18-year-old can buy an assault-style weapon. 18-year-old cannot legally buy a pistol, a handgun. So this is an absurd, outdated, outmoded loophole, but this is a first step in recognizing our problem, where we allow 18-year-olds to buy weapons of war. I've talked to police chiefs and police officers. They don't want to be outgunned like this. They don't want to go into a classroom with an 18-year-old with an assault-style weapon. So this is an important step. It's not everything. Step forward. Take a look at the background of this would-be shooter, frankly. Why is the 18-year-old seeking an assault weapon? What does his past, his social media reflect?
Particularly with regard to the epidemic of guns and the violence here in this country, it seems that at best we can expect incremental steps forward. This is a solid incremental step forward. Are you confident it will get the 10 Republican senators it needs to be passed into legislation?
I have confidence because I don't believe they would so publicly reveal the results of their negotiations if they did not have solid support for all 9 of these measures that have been sketched out. It would be an extraordinary embarrassment for the entire Senate, a shame on the Senate, if somehow they say this on a Sunday and can't get it done on a Monday.
Madeleine Dean, thank you so much. I'd like to ask you to stay where you are. I'm going to ask you a little bit about the 1-6 hearings, but of course I thank you for sharing your thoughts on this breaking news.